So thank you to everybody who's been a part of everything you just saw. And I'm going to just run through really quickly some of the things that we've done and accomplished this year, and to shout outs to all the amazing teachers who have been part of accomplishing those things. If we can get it in that way. So I want to start with just the amazing work that's been done by our teachers. The heart of EmpowerEd is our teacher council, which is this year 35 teachers across both charter schools and DC public schools, from a diverse array of settings from all of our wards across elementary, middle, and high school, geographically and racially representative of this incredibly diverse city. And these teachers have done incredible work, starting, we went back to last spring when they pinpointed issues that were in the way of a more equitable education in DC, and making sure that all of us could be part of changing that. So they identified the issues they cared about, and they've waged these incredible campaigns throughout this year to try to change them. So the first thing is tackling teacher turnover. This group has been working in an incredibly effective way throughout the year to raise the issue of teacher turnover, and working with our partners on the state board to make sure that issue is front and center through this incredible event that we had back in, I think maybe it was November, and bringing together all the stakeholders to try to find solutions on teacher retention. Our work on, I saw Jenna here somewhere, Learn Together, Live Together, on school diversity and integration, and making sure our schools are more equitable and diverse, and that's on purpose in this city. And we promoted those benefits, and as we got ready for the school lottery time, this group made sure that parents were aware that this is a value and the benefits of diversity and integrated school settings in our city. And we promoted those benefits and tackled the systems that are worsening segregation, taking on what's wrong about the star rating system that's been new to DC, and making sure that people understand that our schools are more than stars, and the hard work that teachers are doing every day is making a difference in all of our schools. One group took on recruiting and retaining educators of color. It is incredibly important that our students of color in this city see teachers that reflect them and look like them, and we're not doing the job we need to do to make sure we recruit and retain educators of color across this city. Our restorative practice group thought about the work that we're doing with restorative practice and social emotional learning with students, and made sure that we're doing that work with adults as well. And we're advocating for more transparency for all DC schools. This group has been incredibly successful pushing this new bill that Councilmember Allen introduced to have equitable transparency across both sectors, and they've done an incredible job in a very, very short time pushing that issue forward. And then connecting research to practice in literacy instruction through our Building Knowledge in the Early Grades group, which has promoted the idea that we cannot get ahead and our students cannot build literacy if we don't have social studies and science and arts and all the holistic curriculum that they need access to. We had our first ever Teacher Voice Summit back in October, bringing together stakeholders from across the city in education, bringing folks together across all the ward education councils, the NAACP, Citizens for Effective Schools, and all the groups across this city, the Washington Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, to make sure we had a common agenda for what we wanted to see in our schools. Bringing teachers out to testify and influencing policy, promoting the new research practice partnership, and making sure teacher voice was connecting to media and connecting to and changing the narratives about education in this city. And that's the work that our teachers have done throughout this year. So what I want to do now is turn it over to some of the incredible advocates and allies that we've had in this fight, and a couple of council members and a member of the state board who have been incredible allies in promoting equity in our schools and lifting up and paying attention to the voices of teachers that are doing that work every day. So I want to bring up someone who is a friend and an ally and always on the side of teachers, Councilmember Robert White.
Good evening. I'm really happy to join you all today. I want to thank Scott for inviting me, for all the work that you have done to create this organization, to grow it. I guess it's a bigger shout out to your family who allowed you to do such a crazy thing. Really want to thank Andy Shalal and the Busboys team for opening up this space. I really couldn't be more excited about the development of this group, because I'm a strong believer that there's no way to accomplish the goals that we have in education in this city without our teachers. There's no way to close the achievement gap. There's no way to change the trajectory for our students if we don't support our teachers and if good teachers aren't not only in DC but staying in DC. I know that a couple teachers who believed that I was more than the reputation that I had and the poor grades that I showed continue to pour into me, continue to have faith in me, and really help give me the confidence to explore my own potential. And so I'm so grateful for everything that teachers have done for me. So as a council member, I try to do my best to make sure that we support teachers. One of the things I'm excited about is with Chancellor Farabee. You know, it's no secret that I was a little weary of his record. But I sat down with him and I said, look, here's a way that I can know that at least you're open to shaking things up. If you can guarantee me that you are willing to assess the state of teacher retention and evaluate the impact teacher system in DC, if you can commit to doing that, then I can feel confident in voting for your confirmation. He did indeed commit to that, and I'm excited about seeing that work get done. I've pushed for budget transparency so that teachers, council members, parents understand what's happening in school budgets, so that this is a process that's clear and transparent. And frankly, I've had to be more of a vocal voice for some of our schools that are falling behind, especially schools here in Ward 8 that are seeing budget cuts. Even when they're not seeing decreased enrollment. And so these things run completely contrary to what we're being told is the mechanism for figuring out funding for school. When we have schools that are losing populations one year, and losing money the next year, and losing more population, losing more money, this is a cycle. And we have to figure out a strategic plan if we're going to break this cycle. But the most important thing that we have to know, most important thing that we have to remember is that we only improve our schools if we have good teachers who are willing to go there and willing to stay there. So please continue to be such a strong voice, strong advocate for our teachers. Teachers, any teachers in the room, please stay involved, get even more involved, get more teachers involved. Keep up the work, and please know that on the council, I have your back, and there are many other council members. My colleague, Elissa Silverman, is here, who many of you know is just such a strong advocate for teachers in schools. So thank you all so much for having me here. Very excited to be with you.
Thank you, Councilmember White, and it is so important that we have those allies in positions of power and elected officials like you that have teachers back and that have the back of the schools, especially like schools in Ward 7 and Ward 8 that are getting underfunded, that we make sure we're supporting our teachers and our students in those schools. I want to bring up another great ally of teacher voice, someone who is always willing to raise the issues of teachers, and someone who is a fundamental believer in democracy and in transparency and in standing up for average people in our government. So I want to give a huge welcome to Councilmember Elissa Silverman.
Thank you. Well, I should drop the mic right there. It's only going to go downhill from here. Well, thank you so much, Scott. So I have made a vow this year to keep my remarks short and sweet. So let me just say the only way that we are really going to close the achievement gap is by making sure we support our teachers, and that teachers have the resources they need in the classroom, the support that you need, the time that you need to adequately prepare. And I would say the extra supports you need, and I know there's a special focus on east of the river in Ward 7 and 8. One of the Ward 8 Education Council, and I know Markus was there, I think, for that meeting. And Robert, you might have been there. I can't remember if you were there as well. You weren't there in spirit, let's say. But we had a conversation with principals of the Ward 8 schools about what the top issues were. And I would say in the end it came down to more supports so that teachers can actually teach in a classroom and not do sort of the other things that you have to do that end up being, I think, a drain of your energy and your time and your expertise. So I just want to thank Scott, and I want to thank some of the people. Well, first of all, you are all teachers. Thank you. Thank you for giving your professional time and expertise to our young people, to our students. I also look around this room and want to thank, I think, consistent voices for education and for making sure that we are spending our public education dollars well and actually using our public education dollars to hopefully, not to hopefully, but to make this city more equitable. We know that there are many mechanisms that we need to use. We need to make sure we have fair housing and affordable housing, but we need, and as labor chair, I will tell you that we need to make sure that we are preparing our residents for our economy. Right now, we are not doing that in our city in terms of helping our residents take advantage of the opportunities here. I know that you're trying to do that. We need to all work together and sort of row in one same direction, preparing our residents for the great healthcare jobs that are going to happen 3 years from now at the new hospital that we're going to be opening on the St. Elizabeth's campus. I believe you guys are key to doing that. But I want to thank the voices of folks like Fritz. I see Fritz over here. I see Ed Lazier, Mark, and Gary, and various voices around the room who keep coming to our hearings, and of course Scott, raising teacher voices to make sure that we are adequately funding and supporting you. And I just want to say thank you again. I think EmpowerEd fills a very critical role and voice in our discussion about public education in the city. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the council members to stick around. We're going to do some awards in just a second with some incredible advocates, teachers in the room. And before we do that, I'm going to bring up someone who is an incredible advocate for teachers on the State Board of Education, someone who represents Ward 8 and is now the new Vice President of the State Board of Education. And he's going to talk specifically about the important work being done here and supporting teachers here in Ward 8, Markus Batchelor.
Thanks, Scott. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So for those of you not from Ward 8, welcome to Ward 8. Welcome to our home here in Anacostia. I also want to, thank Scott and the team at EmpowerEd for all of the work you do to really organize teacher voice. And like Councilmember White, want to also send our thanks to Andy and the team and staff here at Busboys for opening up their doors to us to have this event. And every time I think about the progress that we're making in Ward 8 and opening up new and beautiful spaces like this, I think about how educators in our community also are on the front lines making sure that the next generation of Washingtonians can carve out their space to enjoy the progress that we're making in our community. So if you're an educator here in Ward 8 or across the district, raise your hand. All right, I want you to raise the other hand and give yourselves and each other a round of applause. Because you all are on the front lines, and I can't tell you how much, despite the headwinds and despite the risks of speaking out on behalf of your students and your colleagues and your school buildings, that teachers do it anyway. And I want to underscore how important that is to folks in government who need that information, who need those stories, who need that narrative to really strengthen the advocacy that we're trying to do both at the council and on the State Board of Education. And that work is not easy. When we talked 2 years ago about teacher retention, something that we heard come from the grassroots, from folks like Monica at Ballou, that teacher retention was an issue, we brought it up and said that we need to have a hearing on it. And the powers that be decided that they were going to toe the line and say that teacher retention wasn't an issue. But it's because of voices like you partnering with folks like us on the state board to say that this was an issue, that now I just left a meeting with the chancellor where he said just recently today we're talking about principal retention efforts and teacher retention efforts. That's a victory for you, even making that a conversation in this city. So give yourselves a round of applause for that. And we've got so much more work to do. Like most of the speakers talked about before me, we've got a budget. We're talking about striving for equity in our system, but we've got a budget and a funding model that doesn't promote equity. That's right. And the fact is, we've got a lot of work to do to make sure that our schools are made whole, to make sure that you're able to provide the quality instruction that you want to provide for your students, to make sure your schools can provide the quality supports that students need for their long-term growth and development, to make sure that your schools can meet the bottom line, to do the renovations, to make the repairs, to buy the supplies. All of those things are important and on the line in this budget. And so while we're celebrating your teacher voice tonight, we need you to raise it some more. We've got a lot of work to do in a small window of time to do it. And I know on behalf of communities in my ward, like Anacostia and Ballou and Moulton and King and Kramer, and the list goes on. Yeah, I hear some too. We got everybody on the list, but we've got a lot of work to do, and we'll need your support to make sure that we get it done and that we bring the investments home for students and families and communities right here in Ward 8. Because we know that schools are the center of communities, and where you have a good school, where you have a quality school, you have a good community and a quality community. So thank you all so much for the work you do. You can rely on me and the folks in this room as partners, and we'll continue to do the work until victory is won. So thank you guys.
Markus is going to do a little Ward 8 school trivia for us. So, first of all, raise your hand if you are a teacher in Ward 8. Ward 8 teacher. Well, that's a great present. Thank you guys so much. Big round of applause for all our Ward 8 teachers. Ward 8 principals, assistant principals. Thank you. So thank you for all the work you're doing every day in Ward 8. And Mark's going to have a few trivia questions. If the shirt doesn't fit you, we can change it.
All right, so first question is this, and you just name the name. This, and I guess we'll do hands. Is that probably the best method? This Ward 8 school bears the name of a person who served as its first African American principal. Lawrence E. Boone, that's right. All right, so this is a two-part question, so you got to get both answers right. Dr. Martin Luther King has both a street and school named after him in Ward 8. Before being named in his honor, what were the names of the street? We'll take two possible answers for that. And the school. Come on, Ward 8 folks. And I'm probably the youngest Ward 8 resident in here, by the way.
You got one. Give us the one.
Yeah, we'll do one. We'll do one. Where you going? Close. That was the former name of Malcolm X Avenue. I'll take the shirt. All right, I'll give you the answer. So the two possible answers for the street were Nichols Avenue or Asylum Road, and the school was Congress Heights School. All right, let's do this. Let's do this one. So there's three answers to this next question. So if you get one of those answers right, we got two more shirts. So the first two answers will win. All right, here we go. There are 3 Ward 8 locations named after former State Board of Education Representative William O'Neill Lockridge. What are they? 3 locations in Ward 8. Lockridge Library, that's right. There we go. One more, we got 2 more locations. Nope, not a recreation center. We got library. Come on, Ward 8. Ooh, okay. We had Lockridge Baseball Field at Mississippi and Wheeler, which is near some schools. And the auditorium of Simon Elementary School is also named after William Lockridge. All right. You want to do it easy one? You got another one, I'm sure. Well, I'll take this.
What's the name of the Ward 8 council member? Come on, that was a bar. Here we go. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you, Markus. Round of applause, Markus. Thank you so much. All right. Now, we're going to present some. We're here to celebrate teachers, and we're here to celebrate both our Ward 8 teachers and teachers across the city who have used their voices to speak out. And so we're going to present today some amazing teachers who have used their voice to speak out over the course of the past year or so. And I want to start, and I'm not sure if everyone is here, but I'm going to check in, is Miss Kelly Jones. Kelly, can you come on? And I'm going to read from her principal at Boone Elementary. Ms. Jones is a strong advocate for education and leads by example with tireless energy. Ms. Jones finds time to integrate data analysis and data-informed planning into her daily work, and that act alone has shown a huge impact on her students' learning. Ms. Jones maintains a continued dialogue with stakeholders and solicits advice and opinions on how she can best support success. As a proponent for change, she has modeled and demonstrated exceptional problem-solving and problem prevention techniques, and we want to celebrate the way that she's used her voice tonight because Ms. Jones was instrumental in her school's push to change the name from a slave owner trader to the first black principal of Orr, formerly Orr Elementary, to Boone Elementary. We want to celebrate Kelly for all of her amazing. And I'm going to ask Councilmember White, Councilmember Silverman, Markus, to come back up on the stage. We're going to award you with one of our Megaphone Teacher Voice Awards so you can continue to use your voice to speak out. Congratulations. Thank you for your All right, thank you. Round of applause, please, for Ms. Jones. Our next award is for another Ward 8 teacher. And this teacher has been an instrumental part of our work since the very beginning, and that's Ms. Rhonda Ferguson. Rhonda teaches at Turner Elementary School here in Ward 8. And I'm going to say a few words from her principal, Mr. Bethel. Who said, "My definition of a leader is someone who says what needs to be said and does what needs to be done regardless of opposition and gets the people to listen and follow. Rhonda is a leader," all caps. "She both advocates on behalf of teachers and is willing to push their thinking and practice when needed. When times are tough and we need a good family talk at Turner, Rhonda always actively participates and often leads on it. She has served as a grade level chair, WTU building rep, TLI teacher lead, ALT member, LSAT chair, social emotional academic development team member, and most recently joined a small leadership team charged with bringing new cell initiatives to Turner. Simply put, the remarkable progress made at Turner would not have happened without her leadership, and she's also on the board of EmpowerEd. Rhonda, big congratulations to Rhonda. Come on and take it. In the middle, Rhonda. In the middle. All right, round of applause for Rhonda, please. We have a few more, so Ms. Akake, come on up. So Ms. Akake, am I saying it right? Yeah, okay. Teaches at Powell Elementary in Ward 4. She's taught music to pre-K through 5th grade scholars at Powell Elementary for 8 years. In addition to teaching her students with excellence, she has procured new instruments for Powell students from outside organizations, secured VH1 grants, Little Kids Rock. She's one of the biggest advocates and part of creating DCPS's music curriculum as she shares her district PD lessons with staff. She advocates as a key communicator for Powell with outside organizations like the NSO education program and more. She spends a great deal of time helping new teachers as a mentor and a role model for Powell teachers. And in so many areas, she maintains positive relationships with family, incorporating ongoing communication with families and supporting her fellow teachers. So a huge round of applause for Ms. Akai from Powell Elementary School. for your advocacy for your students and also for people across the district. He's not here, got sick at the last minute, but I want to give a huge shout out. Some of you may know him, a teacher at Aton Elementary School, Mr. Diaz, who's become famous this year as someone who's raised the voices of teachers around the issue of teacher turnover and done his work to serve his students in an incredible way, has been featured by WUSA locally, going above and beyond securing grants for his teachers' needs, making sure getting the Redskins organization to come in and build laundry facilities for their students within his school, and raising the issue as a, I think, 5th or 6th year teacher there. He is the most experienced teacher at his school, at the school at the highest level of teacher turnover in the city. He has been a constant for his students. So I want to give him a round of applause, even though he's not here today. The next teacher I wanted to shout out is Christian Hurd.
Yay, Christian!
Christian teaches at Cesar Chavez. Their school community has gone through a lot over the course of this year, and Christian has been a tireless advocate. As the only unionized charter school in the city, Christian has been instrumental in not only organizing his fellow teachers, but incredibly dedicated to the work he does with his students every day. And one of the things I am so proud of is that the teachers who have joined us and are advocating for change across the city are the same teachers who are going so far above and beyond for their students every day. They are sacrificing nothing when they advocate across the city for all of our kids, because these are the same people, as you heard from Rhonda, they're taking on 1 million roles at their own school in addition to the work that they're doing on advocacy. And Christian is one of those teachers. When the unfortunate decision was made to close Cesar Chavez at the end of this year without the voice of teachers and the stakeholders in their school, Christian has raised his voice. He went to the city council, he has gone to leaders throughout the city, and he's made sure that this is on the map and been an advocate for transparency in our schools and more community engagement. And we're all so grateful for the work Christian has done. Thank you, Christian. Thank you very much, Mr. Hurd. Thanks to everyone at Cesar Chavez for the work that you're doing under difficult circumstances there. And the last teacher I wanted to shout out has been fundamental to the success of EmpowerEd's since the very beginning. She has been a key member of our teacher council since we started, and this is another one of those teachers who goes so far above and beyond for her students every day, her students who go to the same school that she teaches at. She's an advocate for her children and for all the other children that she serves, and that is Elizabeth Koenig. A lot of people in this room know Liz because she is fearless and she is tireless in her advocacy. She speaks out in every setting she can speak out, and it's because of her deep, deep love for the students that she does that. She has been on our group this year that's promoting transparency both in charter schools and across all of our city schools. And though the circumstances have been difficult, and we know that sometimes when teachers speak out, it is not easy in their own building. Many of us have experienced that, and Liz has fought through some incredibly difficult circumstances to make sure that this issue does not get lost, and that the people she's advocating for, parents with children with special needs and parents throughout the city who don't have access to the same information in the charter sector that they do in the traditional public schools, that all those families get served and that her kids are better off, and that also all the teachers in her school are treated with dignity and respect. So we're so grateful for the advocacy that Liz has done all year. Thank you very much to Liz. Big, huge round of applause for all of our winners, our Teacher Voice Awards. Thank you to the council members. Thank you, Mr. Batchelor, so much for being here and for engaging.
Could I just quickly also acknowledge someone who's also fought tirelessly for our schools, families, and teachers, my former colleague on the State Board of Education, Mr. Joe Whedon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
While we're doing that, can I acknowledge Monica Brokenborough? So, I mean, stood up for students in her school, and we know what happens often when you do that, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. And can you raise your hand if you're a member of our teacher council? So, these guys have been on the front lines of these fights all year. great sacrifice and all the extra time that they're spending. So a round of applause for all of these folks who dedicated their time to these causes. And we're going to be back here next year and celebrating so many more of these teachers and the new teachers from Ward 8 that we're bringing into our organization tonight that we hope to be part of our advocacy work in the coming year. And we are dedicated to making sure that, when I started to do advocacy as a teacher, I noticed that the same 2 or 3 teachers who I love, were showing up to every hearing and they were testifying and they were having their voices heard. But we're going to make sure that the people testifying, the teachers using their voices in the city, represent the full teaching core of this city, and that we have a diverse group of teachers, as diverse as our city and as diverse as our students, representing teacher voice. And that is what we are committed to, making sure that our city is represented in the teachers who speak out, and that the teachers who speak out can speak out on behalf of the broad cross-section of students that we have in both sectors and in every single ward in this city. So thank you to all the teachers who have done that. And thank you so much to, I want to shout out again to Andy Shalal for hosting us at Busboys and for all the support Busboys has given to us as an organization. Not only to the elected leaders and the teachers who are here, but the allies from the ward education councils and the partner organizations, like I mentioned, Learn Together, Live Together, and all the other great partners that we've had in this advocacy work. So I want to thank all of you. I want a couple quick plugs. Again, we have t-shirts up here and buttons. Feel free to represent and wear the swag. And please get to know each other. One of the things I really hope to accomplish tonight is that the folks who are here advocating for teachers every day and the folks who are teaching in our classrooms every day spend some time talking to each other. So please do that. We got a hashtag that you can tweet out and make sure you connect with each other and share and stay involved in our work to spread teacher voice in the city. So thank you so much.